I met Fatou in 2011 when I took a group of study abroad students to Senegal, my fourth group of study abroad students from BYU. And Fatou had organized a roundtable with a group of her graduate students who seemed to adore her, by the way, men and women, young men and young women, to talk about polygamy in Senegal, because polygamy is very commonplace in Senegal. It's a country that's 95% Muslim, and polygamy is indeed practiced and very much alive. And so that's how I met her, and she was such an energetic and wonderful speaker that I thought it would be a wonderful experience to have her come here. Her fields of specialization are sociology of family and population, gender and human rights, democratization and political participation, gender and development, reproductive rights, and gender-based violence. And she is the director of GEST, a study and research group in gender issues. She also coordinated gender and violence in Senegal, financed by UNESCO. She coordinated strategies for women's access to land in Senegal, a research project financed by USAID. She's got a very long list of research projects and articles and publications. She has a PhD in sociology from l'Université Cheikh Anta Diop in Dakar, and a master's degree in sociology and social sciences from the university in Lyon. And she studied at the University of Paris as well. And she's the founding member of several organizations on women's rights and human rights in Africa. And I am very pleased to introduce Fatou Diop Sall.
Thank you, Chantal. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. I think, first of all, I have to say that my English is not as good as it should be. I am from an English-speaker country, so you'll have some French and some Wolof maybe in the speech. And sorry about that. Okay. So the topic I'm talking about, as Chantal said, is gender and politics in West Africa. Gender and politics in West Africa, I think it means challenges, many challenges, and I will try to talk about the topic through 3 points. The first point is gender role in African society. The second point is gender and politics in the context of international public laws and conventions. And the 3 point is women's challenges in contemporary societies. And to talk about the first point, I'm going to refer to historians and sociologists. For Cheikh Anta Diop, who is a renowned historian from Senegal, the caste system that defines and rationalizes social existence and organizations in Egypt and the rest of Africa was matriarchy. The Kuru-Kangfuga Charter, West African Magna Carta, in the Mande Empire in 1236 reflected. Land rights were transmitted through matrilineal lineage, so women could access and control land. Men and women farmers enjoyed equal access to land. Land ownership was only after carrying out codified fundamental rites, prayers, sacrifice, and all led by woman priests. In the ancient societies, traditionally, when a man dies, his sister's son inherits his belongings. For example, actually in Senegal, we have among ethnic groups like Serer who have practiced like this. So we had gender-specific education, but not exclusion or hierarchy. Women had a robust economic power and political rights, were transmitted in the matrilineal family. And we have, I think, different examples of famous queen and queen mothers in Africa. We can give examples of Senegal, we have Ndate Yalla Mbodj, we have Jembat Mbodj, we have Ndate Yalla. Maybe you don't know about those people, but we in Africa, in Senegal, we know about them, and we know that they were very famous and very important political personality. One ancient ceremony led by women, the Mami Water divinity, or the spirit of water, was fundamental. The function of the Mami Water was to maintain social order by assuring that sacred laws imposed to people by the community are respected, and women priests are the ones who celebrate the ceremony to help the initiate have achievement both spiritually and materially in their lives. These two pictures, this is Aline Sitoé Diatta, and this is Ndate Yalla Mbodj, who carried resistance with the colonialists in Senegal. For historians and sociologists, the lack of political rights is linked to subordination of women and the institutionalization of the subordination of women, which is related to the rise of new religion, the colonization, and later the state after the independence, who just are ruled by men. Christian missionaries established new values when they came to Africa, attitude towards the body and sexuality. Virginity became an important aspect of religiosity, as well as the submission of the wife to her husband. All senior positions are for men, of course, no woman priest. All senior positions so for men. Also, education through missionary school was for men. Then they opened the schools in Africa. And later, maybe 50 years after, in the mid-20th century, when girls began going to school, they were sent to school to learn cleaning, cooking, and be good wives and good housekeepers for the colonialists, because we had what we called les bonnes. The maid. Yeah, the maid. And when Islam came, women lost their economic independence, their autonomy, both in private and public sphere. Also, the institution of patriarchal marriage, patriarchal family became the norm, and women lost the right to a monogamous marriage. For feminist researchers like Ahmed Leila, I like her work. She says the culture in the Middle East just migrated to Africa. Muslim societies in Africa adopted the religion and the societal values and practices of the Arabic society, where the rule is the control of women. Traditionalism became the norm with reference to the 7th century when Islam was established by Prophet Muhammad. Even with girls, the average rate, when they go to the Medersa, which is Quranic school, they are maybe 15%. All girls don't go like the case for boys. It was general for boys. All boys go to Quranic schools and learn. And for girls was just few of them. And I think the average is about 15% mentioned by Layla. And girls have just elementary education, while men go through the education process and become theologians or experts who can interpret the Quranic text. The consequence of all this process is the restriction of women's rights and the institutionalization of polygamy. After the independence in the 1960s, things didn't change much. Maybe globalization and the international context played a role. And from this time, we noticed changes with what they call the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women from 1917 by the United Nations. And all these West African countries like Senegal, like the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, all of those countries ratified the convention. So laws exist, but the key issue is that they are not implemented. The recommendation of the Beijing platform recommends 30% of women in all the parliament, all the executive power, all the administration, the top managers, but any of those countries respect it, of course. In Senegal, women represent in the parliament these different statistics. In the first parliament we had was in 1963. We had 1.2% of women in the parliament. I think there were 60, and we have 2 women. In 1983, we had 11.8%. In 2007, 18.5%. And today, in the actual parliament, we have 40.6%. Because of a law enforced in 2010, the parity law voted in Senegal by President Wade. Senegal had also 2 women prime ministers. We had this. We had in 2002, Mama Diop, but I think it was just for 1 year and 2 months, 14 months. And we had in 2013, 2 years ago, Aminata Touré, but she just was appointed for a year. And both of them, they are lawyers. They were Minister of Law and Human Rights before they became Prime Minister. In 2005, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf became the first African female president in Liberia. So this is something we have to note. This picture shows Mama Diop, the first Senegalese prime minister, and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is in the middle. And you have Aminata Touré, the second prime minister, and President Macky Sall, who is the actual president of Senegal. Only 3 women were able to access to power and become president. In Africa, we had Malawi, we have Liberia, and since last year, because of the war, the civil war in Central Africa, we have a woman. But in parliament, we have 11% in Liberia parliament. So even if we have a woman as president in the parliament, they even can't respect the recommendation of the Beijing platform, which is 30%. They have 11%. And in Malawi, they are 16.7%. And if we take the example of the Gambia, which has a woman vice president since 1975, they have only 9.4% of women in the parliament. So just one country in Africa, which is Rwanda, have 64% of women in the parliament, which is exceptional and the highest percentage in the world. Now, what about the global context? If we have a look in global statistics on women, we see that the report of 2014 shows that we have all over the world just 9 female head of state and 15 head of government worldwide. If we refer to the US case, how you say investiture? Hillary couldn't win it. Investiture. Nomination. Okay. And in France, if we take the case of France, Ségolène Royal facing Sarkozy just didn't win the election. So this means that the gap in gender and politics is a global concern. Maybe is more difficult. We have more challenges in Africa, but I think worldwide it is an issue. It is really problematic. So we can say that challenges are really tough. We have many remaining. For African women, of course, the patriarchal system and culture which make women submissive and having in charge all domestic tasks, you know it. And in the families, women have to do the cooking, to take care of all domestic work, take care of the children, take care of people who are sick, take care of the cleaning and everything. This is a woman burden, not man's. So this is really an issue, because when you're so busy doing all of this, you don't have what I call sovereign time for yourself, allowing you to have information, allowing you to read and be aware of what's going on, and have time to do different activities. So I think this is one main issue. And I don't know how we're going to challenge it, but it is really a big challenge, because this will give us time to do something else. I think another challenge we need to point out also women are facing in Africa is education. Because if I take the example of Senegal, illiterate people are 60% of the population. And among those illiterate people, you have 8% of women. And among this 8% of women, half of them are young girls. So the main challenge is education, is schooling, is how to send girls to school and how to maintain girls to school, so they have the education and they have the information and they have the skills to engage in politics and to have the leadership they need to be women in politics. So the skills, because you need skills when you want to engage in politics. Training. Of course, they need training. Training is a big challenge, and experience to participate in the political arena. I think that another issue is also economic, is related to poverty and the lack of income, because since girls are not enough educated, they haven't the skills they need, they don't have the training they need, they cannot have the job and have, of course, the income allowing them to have resources, allowing them to engage in different activities and in politics. And I think that I didn't mention I didn't mention it, but we have oh, it is right here. We have challenges related to early marriage. Early marriage is a common practice in all West African countries. You know that Niger is the country in the world where we have the highest rate of young girls being married, from 11 or 12 and having children from 14 to 15. So when at this age you're married and have the responsibility to take care of kids, you want, of course, have time to study or do something else. So the problem of polygamy, because polygamy is also a issue in all those countries, in Senegal, in Mali, in Guinea, in all these West African countries, it is an issue women are facing. We can point out also violence against women. Violence against women is a big issue, is a human rights violation, very common in the family, in the workplace, in the schools. Every space in the society have cases of gender-based violence, and I think this is really a challenge we have to face about women's rights in Africa. Another issue is female genital cutting. This is a practice common of all these countries, from Senegal to Mali to Guinea. All those countries have these practices and control women's body from practicing female genital cutting, and this is, of course, a main challenge we have to face. Also war, because in different countries in West Africa, we have civil war, or we have international terrorism, which is here. And we have this case in Nigeria with this girl, 215, by Boko Haram, kidnapped by Boko Haram. I heard they're back home, but what happened to them? What did they go through? I think that this is a big issue. In Niger, we have the same situation. In Mali, we have the same situation in the north, experiencing international terrorism and fundamentalism, which, of course, impact women's law, women's right in Africa. So maybe to conclude, I can just point some solution and mention the need of transformation, of course, of inequalities, but transformation globally, not only locally in our society and among the people, because we have inequalities and big global issues. So I think that we have to have a look and see what about transformation of inequality between countries, between states, and locally, of course. We have different issues between ethnic groups. In Senegal, we have this war in Casamance, secession, because they think that the Jola community, which is the ethnic group in the south, has no right. The state don't invest big money in the economy, in the local economy, so they think they're marginalized. And I think this is the case in Mali with the Azawad. So locally, also we have to fight against these inequalities. And of course, in all sectors of the society, when I say all sectors of a society, I think about education. Education have to be common. All young people, all young girls and young men have to have this opportunity to go to school and achieve elementary school, go to high school, and have training so they can have skills and have maybe the opportunity to be big politicians. So I think that to achieve balance in gender politics, all of those issues, challenges, and problems are here for us, and we're facing them. And I think this is my last word, Chantal. Thank you, and I'm open for the questions. Thank you.
So we invite you to ask your questions. You could please form a line at the mic. Tell us your name, what you're studying, and please begin now with questions.
I hope you get what I said. I hope.
Connor Mills, I'm studying supply chain management. Just a question. Are the governments in West Africa doing anything right now to try to help women get more education? Because the percentages you showed were pretty low of like how many girls are actually able to go to school.
So what governments do
Yeah, to try to
help girls go to school?
Right.
Okay. And so I take the other question. Okay. I think that they're taking action. They're taking action. Because if we take the case of Senegal, we have a program called Éducation pour tous. It means schooling for everybody. So we have this program, and it is implemented in rural area, not in Dakar or in the big cities, but it is implemented. The program, when they were launching the program, it was done in Fatick. It is in the Middle East of Senegal, Centre-Est. And it is a program helping girls go to school, giving scholarship, and funding to very poor families in rural areas. So they let the girls go to school and stay to school. But it is just in some places. It doesn't cover all the country and all the people who need this program. But they have some program to help women go to school, but is not enough and doesn't cover all the needs.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Travis Dolney, and I'm studying geography. You spoke about the range in terms of female representation in various parliaments throughout Africa. I was curious if you've maybe in your research noticed many trends or factors to which you attribute that range. What's different in places where you see higher or lower female representation in parliament?
In the different countries?
Right. What are they doing differently that's causing there to be greater representation in parliament by women?
J'espère que j'ai bien compris. Because I don't know how can. Ça a une réalité. Okay. Thank you. I get it better now. Okay. So I gave the case of Senegal, 44%, Rwanda, 64%, because they have what they call quota laws. With this law, all political party, when they nominate, I got the word, when they nominate, they have to nominate equally men and women. In the list, they have to have, if it's 10%, they need to have 5 men and 5 women in the list of 10 people they're nominating to parliament or, but in the list, in the nomination, they have to. Now, people maybe can vote for the 5 men or the 5 women or half and half. This is another issue, but for the nomination, they have to. And I think that this is what helps in Senegal have this high percentage, because the parliament we had before, there were 80%, 80, 18. There were 18%. But when we had the law, there were 44%. So.
But are those women really active in government?
This is another issue. For example, we are not satisfied in Senegal with this women parliament because they are not advocating and lobbying for women's rights. So I think that the one we send to the parliament, maybe they need training to be aware of women's rights and have more skills maybe to advocate for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jessica Strickland. I'm a visual arts major. Following along the same lines with that, I was wondering, like countries like you mentioned, Rwanda, Senegal, well, even like South Sudan and other ones in that area, they all have a much higher percentage of representation in their parliaments or Congress than we do in the U.S. And so you mentioned the equal kind of ballot system with equal amount of names. Are there any other kind of factors that make these different areas in Africa better than what we have in the U.S.?
I think that what I was saying just before can be the answer. They are here, so for the representation, we are moving from to equality for representation. So in the parliament, if it is like this place with 100 persons, we have maybe 50 men and 50 women, or 60, 40. So this is kind of balance. But in the way they're dealing with issues, I think it remains a big challenge. This is what women's movement in Senegal are saying now. We are not satisfied with the parliament we have, actually. So this is a debate, actually, in Senegal. We have to talk with those people and point the real issue, and so they will work on it and see how to improve women's rights, because they're here. It has to be useful for us, because we just did vote for them. We sent them there, so they have to be the good representative for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Michelle Zabriskie, and I'm studying biochemistry. My question is, what is the main media outlet in Senegal, and what influence does the media have on the persistence of the patriarchal society?
Thank you. Media is very important because you get the information from the media. And in Senegal, the main is the radio, of course, because I was talking about it. We have a very high percentage of illiterate people, so they mainly listen to the radio. We have, of course, newspapers, and we have media, the media in the internet and all this, because this is globalization actually. So, but this concerns maybe the young people. They have access to all this media, so they access information. They know what's going on here. They know what's happened, because when I was planning to come, my student, they said, "Oh, you're going to Utah? Oh, they are Mormon people in Utah, and they have some practices just like we do. Oh, will you have a look?" So they know what's going on all over the world, because they read, they watch CNN through the satellite. They have access to information. But this is young people who have access to internet, and this is not common for the whole population.
So would you say the majority of the voters in Senegal, do they have access to the internet, or are they primarily listening to some sort of government radio or something where somebody could get a propaganda across to continue and keep the patriarchal society in place?
We have in Senegal, I think, is 5 channels, television. There are 5 channels. The main is the national radio, of course, is the governmental radio. We can say the radio and television and newspaper. So they have these 3 media together. And of course, the information they give to people is from the government. And I think that people mainly listen those media, of course, because they think these are more reliable than the other. This is what people think, because, I think this is something sociologists say. The rural people, they are more conservative than the other because of different facts. So they listen more this media, and the young who are, of course, educated, who go to university, they have access to the other media, even international media, and of course have access to a diversity of information, which is very, very useful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to add
Okay.
something here, from my observation, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the Mouride is a brotherhood in a very powerful Muslim brotherhood in Senegal. And when you turn on the TV, when you turn on the radio, you always see one of the preachers from the Mouride. And those are the ones who are keeping the patriarchal order very much in place. And a lot of the population listen to that, those Mouride stations, the Islamic leaders, and they do whatever they say. And I think that's the best answer to your question. It's through those Muslim leaders, right?
Yes, and I can add then the past local election we had on 2014, we had this parity law I talked about, implemented all over the country, but not where the Murid community were. They said, here we won't have parity. No list of women, any woman on their list. And the government didn't say anything. They say, oh, you're right. If this is how you take it, it's okay. And women's movement, we were talking to the radio, everything, but nothing. They just had list with only men, which is against the law. But this is what happened. So they're very powerful, and
You cannot get elected in Senegal if you don't have the support from the Mouride leaders. And so the government just closes their eyes on anything that's said on those movie stations.
Yeah, they're so powerful. Yes.
Hi, my name is Laura Larson. I study French and political science. I've heard polygamy described as a cultural necessity for Africa, but I've also heard other facts, among which that it spreads AIDS and it has other problems associated with it. I did see on your PowerPoint that you mentioned it as a problem. Do you think that polygamy, there could be things changed about it, or do you think that it should be abolished as a practice in Africa?
I think that polygamy.
Have an hour.
Oh, sorry.
I had that polygamy. We feminists, we are against polygamy because we say that when you are married, you're supposed to be married with, when you're a woman, you're supposed to be married with somebody you love and with somebody you want to share your life with. And what will you do if there's different other families around? It's just a problem. So for us, it is a human right problem for us. But I think we are a very small minority. Yeah. Because Chantal can say this. When they came on 2011, the lecture was about family traditions, marriage, and polygamy. And the students, the female students on master's programs, they were just saying for them it's fine. They can be in polygamic marriage, so they won't have to take care of a man 7 days a week, so he can go away 3 days in a different place, and they will have some time for them. This is what they were saying. So,
Okay, thank you.
oui.
My name is
Thank you.
Dallin Berger, studying political science. And so, fighting gender inequality from the United States to Senegal, what practices have you found are best at promoting equality? Do we need more anti-discrimination laws, or are we just training our cultures wrong? Do we need to train our kids better? What practices work best that you've seen?
I think that the key thing is, of course, education and training, because when people are well educated and well trained, they have the skills, they have the information, they have knowledge, so they know their rights. So education is really a key issue. But law is also critical, because if there's any law in the community, they do whatever they want. So law is very important. And the other thing which is important about law is the implementation of the law, because we have good law, but they're not implemented. So I think that these are two important things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. C'est ça qu'on dit, je dis pas vainqueur après moi aussi. Okay.
My name is Brandon Wilmore. I'm an international relations major. And my question is, what can the people in this room or in the United States do to further the cause of gender equality around the world? What are the most important things that you think we can do?
What you can do?
What we can do to help further the cause of gender equality?
It's a very, very good question. I think that you're a student. You're in geography, social science, mainly political science. And I think in few years, you'll be maybe advisors in the presidential cabinet, or so you can tell those people in the program they have with Africa to support gender equality. The money they sent to Africa, the money they give to the government, they have to have a say on how it is used and how this money benefit to people, and how this money benefit to improve women's rights. And this is one thing. In diplomacy, not only finance and money, but in diplomacy, they can also, I think, have the African representative and president to have good policies. So you can help in this way, and I don't know if there's another way.
Thank you.
But this is one
Okay.
which comes in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sierra Davis, and I'm studying political science. It sounds like early marriage and having domestic responsibilities associated with that are mainly what's keeping young women for education. And I want to know how this kind of relates to religion. I know you have a lot of Islamic people, and you also have a lot of Christians. So what's kind of the difference there?
The difference between?
Marriage and domestic duties, is that more a problem with the Islamic community where they're kind of forcing that, or does that also happen with the Christian?
Okay. I think early marriage is cultural, but also religious. It has these two aspects, because traditionally, community, they send girls, they marry young girls because they need more hands for work. This is tradition because of agriculture, because you know that agriculture in our countries have not the means you have here, is people with their hands working on. So they had early marriage culturally and polygamy because of disorganization of the economy and the agriculture. So this is one part of the issue. And also in Islamic tradition, the recommendation is, of course, to marry girls while they're young, so they have their virginity, because this is a value in Islamic practice. And the girl have to be younger than the man, because she have to be under his authority. So these are, I think, the two
Thank you.
parts of the question. Welcome. Okay.
Brett Jory. I study political science and Russian. My question was concerning the living situation in Senegal. From my understanding, they live traditionally in les concessions, kind of a communal living situation. Does that have any effect on the patriarchal attitude or order that is present in Senegal?
The living situation means this actual situation. Les concessions. Oh, how the living is organized? Oh, yeah. Traditionally, if you read, there's a Senegalese sociologist named Abdoulaye Berger. He wrote 2 books on Senegalese society. One is La Famille Wolof. The other is La Société Wolof. And in these 2 books, he talks about family organization and, of course, how they occupy the space and how they build the houses, the huts. And he said that in the first ray, usually they put dependents. The dependents, they live in the first ray. In the second one, the children. And in the last one, behind, where that maybe people don't access easily, live the wives. So even the space, how it is occupied, how it is organized, is linked to how they think a relation are supposed to be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I hope I gave the correct answer to your question.
Thank you very much. Let's thank our speaker today. Thank you.